All right. You know what I'm going to say, but I'm just going to give you a heads up before we get started. This is going to contain some explicit content like adult language and depiction of body anatomy. Please be advised that this podcast might not be suitable for all audiences. On today's episode is Lynn-dee Vanrensburg. She is the organizer of Wild at Heart as a female sexuality coach. Topics of discussion. Of course, ladies, this is about Tantra, sexuality, and how to explore and get to know your body. Please give a warm welcome to ever blessed Lynn-dee Vanrensburg. How are you? How are things for you? You're cold? You look very cold.
Yes, it's -4 where I am.
It's winter in that area?
Yes.
Okay. We are in Texas, USA, and it's, 83 Fahrenheit right now? So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how to approach it correctly, but I do have a couple of questions that I did add. I looked into your link tree and I love that you speak you're multilingual, correct? Is it Afrikaans?
Yes, well done.
Okay. And English.
Look at you.
I'm working on it.
One of these days you're going to speak it.
I would love to. That's one of my goals. It's like, I'm trying to figure out what would be the coolest language to add on to all the other crazy stuff that I can do. I love linguistical stuff. I love learning about culture and languages. So the more the merrier for me.
Wow.
But it's so awesome that you get to speak many tongues. So that's awesome. So, and I know when you're dealing with this as a sexual coach, you probably will want to reference the actual grammatical words for the body. So I want to keep it real because technically I tell my children the appropriate words for their anatomy. And a lot of people use other analogies. And I'm thinking when I came to Texas, it was, and I used to work in a pet grooming store. And there was one of the women who was teaching me how to groom and clip and trim around the private areas of the dogs. And she was like, well, make sure you don't clip the hoo-ha. And I'm like, the what? So what? And she's like, girl, the hoo-ha. I'm like, the hoo-ha, yeehaw.
that could be quite fun.
Yeah, so
no,
I was like,
I'm going to do something.
So that was a interesting learning lesson of Anatomy 101 on animals. So now that I own dogs, I'm like, girl, don't be dragging your hoo-ha around on the carpet, girl. You better go on outside for that. But I have all boys. I prefer children to understand and be comfortable with their bodies. Because as an adult, it becomes like secretive and also becomes a very bad sexual habit where they think it's considered inappropriate to touch themselves or inappropriate and it becomes, on top of that, it turns into something completely horrible and dark and suspicious, and I'll jump right into it. So let's do this, sure. Right? Let's do this. enough dinking or dicking around. Oh, okay. Just loose. No pun intended.
Genius. I like it.
Okay, cool. I added on a couple of more questions because as I was listening to some of your previous recordings, I thought that me personally, and I think a lot of women wanted to know this, and I'm just kind of speak out for the rest of the listeners that I believe they will probably ask the same question. So, everyone's human. Everyone has cool things about their past and how they got to where they got to and what made them make this choice and journey as to being a sexual coach, specifically dealing with Tantra, correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool. We'll dig right into that in a second. So one of the questions that I had is, What is the most courageous thing you've ever done?
Okay, that will be facing my sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
If I say facing that, it would be working on my sexuality was the most courageous thing I've ever done before. It's not something that you get to work on. Nobody speaks about working on their sexuality because it's a very nuanced term. But you really need to work on your sexuality because it doesn't. We have this false idea it just happens.
Right.
So, I would say that my sexuality.
Sexuality. Okay. Yeah. It took me a long time to appreciate my body. Being an only child, I didn't have the parents' guidance. So I literally had to learn and explore on my own. So that was probably one of the things I struggled with. But as I am now, seeing my body transform and change and become no longer the ugly duckling. So I really am appreciative of what my body has become and what my body can create. It can create life. It can create such beautiful things, and the outcome dealing with relationships and appreciating who I am. And it's just been an interesting journey for me. So when you're having a bad day, what do you do to make yourself feel better?
I don't, when I saw this question, I gave it a feeling, and I don't really, in the past, if I would had a bad day, I would go judging myself, and because we as human are taught to feel summer all the time. If I say summer, we are taught to be happy all the time and not embracing the bad day, whatever the bad may be to you. But initially when I got that question from you is I don't get a bad day anymore. And if per se I have a bad day, I have a presence on keeping myself in that moment and not wishing that moment over. So I just love myself and be more gentle as what I was if I wasn't a good day, per se. So I would say much more love in that process for myself and compassion. I go with the season. So if I'm in one day, let's say one day, I could be in winter in the morning, and then 5 seconds later I can be, my mood changed like all seasons in 1 year and 1 day.
Okay.
So to just clarify on what you're asking, I don't keep it in the summer. I just allow what the moment brings for me, and I be fully in that season. So even if it's winter, or I'm saying that, like if I'm happy, I'm 100% happy. Then if I'm over to the other anger or ecstasy or bliss or whatever the mood is, and because your human expression is so full of all this goodness of being human, I don't allow myself to get stuck on whatever my emotion is.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. I might have misunderstood you, but thank you for clarifying that. That helps out a lot. I like that analogy. I like that.
This I taught myself through the Tantra. I wasn't like that always.
Feel the weather, feel the seasons. And, but then once that season is over, it makes sense. You should shift it to something more lighter, something more, because it's, life is short.
And look at nature; it shifts automatically. It doesn't need your intervention. And what we do as humans, when we don't, especially in our sexuality, we don't allow ourselves to be fully in our winter. So we just push, and our bodies needs to go through that whole season. What we think it should do. You should do this now. And then we like, okay, I'm in winter, but I'm in summer now.
I like it.
So it can be very distressing for our bodies. And I wonder, it doesn't live in harmony because it doesn't correlate with all your being, if you refer to that type of speech.
Okay. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Thank you so much. Could you tell me what would be a favorite family tradition that you do?
Okay. I also gave this a feeling to it. So specifically, we have, with my family growing up, we used to celebrate. I say used to because I have my own family now. And when I created my own family, I had to let go of a lot of prescribed ideas I took from my mom and dad. So when I started my own family, I had to work through the stuff that I don't want to incorporate into my family and make new ideas. So I didn't bring stuff over to my family, my family that's now. But from my mom and dad's side, we used to celebrate Christmas, and then also we had this big eat. I think my grandma would spend like forever, I think weeks to make this. And we would eat it like in 5 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
But needless to say, and then I like the fact that you said you would go walk. We didn't have a tradition like that, but we would just talk and have tea afterwards or so. But in my household growing up as a child, we would every Sunday afternoon, my mom and dad would make us a cup of tea, and then we'll bond for that moment. So that was a kind of it's not a tradition, it was a thing each week. In a tradition in my family today that I married into is I actually make it every day. I say that we don't celebrate Christmas. We're not very festive, and we don't really do. We're really against the norm. So everything they celebrate, like Valentine's Days, all those days, we say that must be every day. Why are we making specific days for this? So each day before we get up, we celebrate something for that day, and every night before we go to sleep, we celebrate the day that is past.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we keep that every day. So just to be in that gratefulness for being alive.
Yeah, I love that. And I think one of the things that I do with my family currently, because I have not, just like you, I haven't carried on some of the traditions that I was brought up in. So my current family with my 3 boys, I'm a single mom, but I think what I've learned to enjoy is try to start the day kind of by myself, but then gradually bring in my furry flatmates, have them join me. And then, of course, my son, who was just rubbing his eyes, comes up and he does his ritual where he has to eat about 6 to 10 times a day. So I have all that. So I have all that kind of prepped for him. But then at night, I always, even though I haven't been able to do it and I should do it, I used to do it when my oldest son is 25 years old. But when he was younger, I used to read him books right before bed. But now, because I work night shift before he goes to bed, all 3 of them, I usually kiss them on the forehead before I go. And it's always, I love you, I'll see you tomorrow. Because the type of job that I work at night is driving. I drive 8 hours in some really shady places, behind industrial parks. That could be my last night that I would say anything positive to my kids. So that's considered, to me currently, that's what I do. I kiss them. I say, I love you. I will see you tomorrow. Sweet dreams. So, if that night is the night that I will be passing on, I will be haunting them. But either way, so I did tell my eldest son that I was going to haunt him. He's like, that's pretty cool because I still would need you around anyways, because keep me in line. I'm like, you betcha.
But isn't that beautiful, the way that you're expressing that? My greatest, I don't want to see it as a negative, but I would say is my family, the dearest people. It's anyone's. I mean, I'm looking for the word, but I don't know what the word is to describe it. But that feeling of expressing that gratefulness of their existence, like you say, like giving that kiss as if it was the last kiss.
Yeah.
That it's having that beginner's mindset, not taking something for granted.
Yes. Oh gosh, no. I've learned that with all the things that I've gone through, oh my gosh, that's with another podcast. That was probably the one.
Go look for it.
I said, I will never be distant. If they ever need me, I am there. And I've always told my kids at a young age about their sexuality, about their boundaries, who should touch them, who should not, if it should be allowed, what age, when you should get married, when should I purchase the shotgun, all those crazy stuff. So at a very young age, I taught them about that. And I said, I will never have my kids unprepared for this world and appreciate their bodies like I should have learned. With the help of a parent, you would think they're the moon and the stars for you, but some people don't have that in their lives. So it's enough of me just going off the wind here. But
I would like to share something while you were saying that is, and I love that you share that at a young age to celebrate your children's body, because that is really my coaching methodology works like this, because we really have to reparent ourselves and start feeding this inner child that didn't get love and attention as a child. Mm-hmm. And that is the core of my methodology. So we dive into that as well.
Oh, so,
cool. We do that. And that is really deep stuff. That is not even that. I mean, if I could go into that, is when you're when you just start out as a baby, you signal from the area. And I get this a lot. So we get signals that your needs are not met. Say if you cry and you see your mom's not coming, and then you say, hang on, I can't trust this world, or I can't trust my mom and dad because they're not giving me my needs. And a lot of those abandoned stuff starts there, and we don't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
And not even that plays out into your sexuality as well.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because that is very intimate places. That is, so the bedroom can actually be like a playground. I'm going to say playground, but I mean it's two kids being foolish, and like me, it's not a child's play.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. And I was just thinking while you were saying that, I'm like, our lives, in a way, begin and end in the bedroom. We're created in the bedroom. We live there. We have our sexual relationships, or we have our rest, or we have family time where kids jump on our bed and try to scare us when they wake up, or handing a little breakfast for Mother's Day or some other type of celebration. And then we die there. You want to be home. You want to be surrounded by your loved ones. So it's like everything begins and ends there. And some people just don't have the ability to understand the bits and pieces of what we're going to talk about, dealing with the sexuality coaching and Tantra. I mean, that takes place there. I mean, it could probably take place everywhere else. I mean, one of the things that I've heard about is you can christen every room if you want to, but however, everything pretty much. So, you know what I mean by christening.
I know. I understand.
So as a child, what did you wish to become when you grew up?
This one, I had no clue how to answer you. I didn't really know what I wanted to become. I was never set out. I never said I want to be this. I want to be this. I never did that. I would say I lived for a moment, but I learned that living for the moment is scary. Mm-hmm. So this is actually weird that I'm saying this. I was always like that, and then somehow I was taught that that's not how it works. That's no. Now you need to plan, lady. No, you need to do this. You need to do. So I had so many. You need to do this. So I had to unlearn. So I had to be something, and then as soon as I was something, I said, "Wait, but is that how I am?" So. Yes, I would say just coming back to my own self again, my original essence as a child, bringing that childlike qualities within myself and still being a grown-up, but not losing my essence that I've lost. I don't know if that's something becoming. It's actually a way of being.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
I would say that.
I mean, there was with the imagination that I had as a child, I think I still have that imagination. I want to be something like, I want to do that somersault, triple turn with a 360 twist. That's not going to happen at 43, but I'm going to try to believe that I can do it. In my mind,
in your mind's eye.
Yeah, in my mind, I can see myself like doing a 10, but in real life, I'm like, oh my God, my back. Just the thought of it,
I hear you. When I say that to people, what I do, I often think, but that's not actually, I just do it for the show because I'm actually, and like me, you're actually a list of things. You're not just this one career.
Yes.
Or this, your initial sense. Like I say, I'm a Tantra sex coach. Okay, great. But I am a mother, I'm a lover, I'm a friend, I'm a mother. So I'm in essence sense, a person that reclaims your, like I just mentioned, your wholeness into your sexuality and your sacredness, back into that, because there's mixed signals in society today. So
these questions, I'd be like, well, I'm not just this. I'm everything. I can be anything I want to be. And you are. You're a mother. You are dealing with Tantra sexual coaching, but you also are, you have a relationship with another person.
I'm a homeschool mommy, but I've always been and the other side, the extreme side. So, what else am I? I'm a very deep person. I love soulful. If you're not a lingo with that term, I love talking about serious stuff. I'm a very deep person. So I'm like, okay, I can be funny, but I want to go where it makes sore.
Yeah, of course. Yes. Please tell me more. And I know some of the things, I'll just get into the nitty gritty. So what is the most mistaken thing about a woman's body? Like some of the things that people say is a taboo, or men say, oh, well, women's bodies, if you do this, you'll get this reaction. But every woman's body is completely different. So what is the most mistaken thing that you hear kind of debunk, I guess you could say?
Yes, absolutely. And I love the fact that you reflecting back to me that it is everybody's bodies is different. And the whole scene we have about the topic itself is seen a certain way, and it's put on a box like that. And to you, it can be different. And to me, it can be different. And it's, let's say if I say go wild, because my business name is Wild at Heart, but my wild can mean different than your wild. So it's finding your element of wildness and letting that out. So the misconcept is if you use certain words in a structure where there is like males or so, they misinterpret the whole words because they've been programmed a certain way. And till now we've been focused on men. Recently we only got a say as a woman. So to us, it's a new topic and we're still exploring ourselves. What is it that we really like? And do we like it like the way you say we like it? No, not at all. and is getting that co-created space when you're together, or when you creating together, it's finding your essence in that all. So there's not a specific spot, but like you say, it's totally different, but it's coming back to, and that was my biggest lesson when I had said to my husband, listen, I'm going to go search for whatever they say I'm going to search. Can I just put you on hold for 9 months or so? Maybe longer, maybe shorter. And he was like, okay. Okay, I'll be back, guys. So, and then it's just going to find what you really like and your desires before you can even ask it from someone else.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, one of the things I think also exploration of our own bodies helps us understand even more what our partners can do to increase or mimic that type of pleasure. So tell me more exactly, explain to listeners about what is a sexuality coach.
Okay, I'll explain to you first the Tantra.
Yes.
The Tantra, it means it's an Eastern philosophy or tradition that is originally from Japan and / India, and many gurus taught it, still teach it today, and there's different levels of it. But getting to the point of Tantra, the word itself is meant woven together. So it says all your aspects of it. Says we're not just this physical body, there's all aspects of yourself, and it's bringing all those aspects, even like if you relate to energy, bringing that in, and even qualities that you've lost when you were a child, like I said, that was where we bring that together and we wove that together. So in essence sense, Tantra says there's no bad or there's no good. It's just a separation from, it's the same coin. So it's coming back into that balance. And then a sexuality coach is, yet again, sexuality has many aspects that it can root into. Sexuality, like I said, I don't want to define it in a box because your sexuality can be different than mine, but it's in essence sense your prana, your life force energy. That's the orgasmic nature of our existence.
Yes.
So a coach in essence sense is but in my country where I am, it's a very nuanced term. So I don't know. I know in America, I think it's more known for a coach. But what it is, I get clients and then I start questioning what is it that you really want. And I start seeing where it is that you're exactly having blockages. And we discover that what is holding you back. I don't know if you ever heard about the term body-mind. Do you know what that is?
Yes and no, but you could probably do a little bit of an explanation to the listeners, I think, once they listen to this.
Peter Levine, it's Dr. Peter Levine, has a whole thing about this, and it's coming back to the felt sense of your body. And he says, well, not he, there's a lot of studies out there that says the mind can't comprehend the mind cannot comprehend feelings always, but that's not what I'm going to say now. Is there is a mind behind your mind, so it thinks in sensations. So if you're in your mom's fetus, the first thing you're in touch with before, and I mean even in 25, your cortex is fully formed. So, I mean, you don't have that capacity to think as yet. And that is why you, as your old mom, you give the children guidance because their capacity is not there yet. So what happens before that age is we go on total feelings. So it's coming back to that feeling sensation, that inner world where your feelings is. And it's called the body mind. At any given moment, coming back and working with the natures of all your seasons within your body, and just using that. And that's what, in essence, we do. I do. So, of course, I would, before starting with a client, I would test her, well, not test, let me rather reframe that word. I will see her level of her comfort zone. So to her, normally I work with ladies, obviously, is they can choose to have the video on or off, and I'll guide them exactly step by step what's happening and what to do. Or if the comfort level of the person is uncomfortable with just that and me seeing them or not being on the camera, I'll just guide them, point them, and send them a video or audio for them to do at home. and as homework. Oh, work sounds not nice. I want to home play.
There you go.
Home play.
Home play. Okay, very interesting. Yeah, I think one of the other questions is, how many levels are there in reaching your sexual climax or satisfaction with yourself, with your partner, etc.?
Hectic. Do you have the word hectic in your language? Do you understand?
Yes, hectic.
Because in regards to levels, because I'm trauma informed, so I know there's a lot of trauma in this work I do. So I work hand in hand with somebody that is trauma trained. So it depends how many people had done this body work, because our body keeps a lot of cellular memory. So in regards to that, it's like peeling an onion and then peeling another one and peeling another piece. So there isn't quite levels, but to give you an idea, it took a lot of years for me to be in where I could know what my nerve system wanted and not go by reaction, and where I can now be able to see, oh, hang on, this is a pattern of myself. So it took a lot of years to get there. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, because I know that orgasms can be a variety of ways. There's a variety, and there's intensity in each different orgasm depending on. So, I mean, I know there's been some type of, there was clinical research. If someone wants to get familiarized with their body, what would be one of the, I guess, a key point or a suggestion as to how they would go in doing that if they were wanting to get to know themselves?
Okay, so to know your body is to go within. So in essence sense, I mean, you get naked every day when you get dressed and undressed. So that's easy. But really connecting to your inner world, going within and exploring with yourself. Even if you want to start with your mouth and your finger in your mouth, but that is where the cultivation comes in of this curiosity, of this innocent, and beginning at the beginning's mindset. Because so many times when I started off making time for myself, and I'm like, this is so boring. What am I doing here? And there's a lot of programming that goes with that itself. And there's a lot of, like you said as well, I think it comes to what you asked. There is layers to it, because then you go deeper and then you're like, okay, no, this is not this. But it's all about the exploration, because not one looks the same. But it's getting yourself, putting yourself a bath on, if that relaxes you, getting yourself nice oils, and then really, like I said, is take a mirror and spend time with yourself and go into the places where you're afraid to go, because that those parts are the only parts that we neglect. We use it for certain functions, but there's certain nerve endings in our pelvic area that is made only for pleasure. It's made for nothing else. And if, this is a sad fact, if we don't use it, it goes away. So it's like a muscle. All that muscle's there, and that's why we have prolapse, because people don't use that muscles. And that is playing with it, squeezing it, exploring it with your hands. And those is also the type of teachings I do to cultivate what they can do. But we can. That's as far as the censored part I can go.
Oh yeah, no, it's you had any additional information you'd like to share with the listeners?
Something I would recommend, it's is it the pathway within? Is you're not doing it for anyone. I'm not telling you to do it. And the podcaster isn't telling you to do it, Jasmine. Go explore for yourself. Do it with such reference that there's a sacredness to it.
Mm-hmm.
And even the sacredness and the compassion, whatever arises in that moment, that you keep a space for that as well. Because those aspects that comes up with you being with yourself and exploring yourself is the aspect that needs to be seen and felt and heard. So I would leave them with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. Now, if someone wanted to know more information about you, and how would they be able to reach out and contact you if that was okay with you?
Sure, they can get me on the social media platforms at Wild at Heart by Lynn-dee.
It is such a pleasure, Lynn-dee. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for you.
Yes,
okay,
ma'am. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Noise Palooza Zion podcast. I'm Jasmine Castillo, also known as DJ Jim Jam. If you are wanting to be promoted on my podcast, please reach out to me if you are a small business, entrepreneur, musician, or artist. www.jasminecastillovoice.com. Stay tuned for the next upcoming episode.